We'll begin the third video in this series with some quotations from the Quran. Surah 23, 1, 5, and 6. Certainly will the believers have succeeded, and they who guard their private parts, except from their wives or those their right hands possess, for indeed they will not be blamed. In Surah 4:24, and all married women are forbidden unto you, save those captives, whom your right hands possess. Surah 70:30, those who guard their private parts, except from their wives or those their right hands possess, for indeed they are not to be blamed. Those whom your right hands possess is a common idiom for slave girls or captives of war. So Muslims are to guard their private parts except from two groups of people, their wives and the women their right hands possess. But what does it mean to leave your private parts unguarded? What does it mean that they are not forbidden? It means that having sex with both groups, wives and slaves, is allowed. Let's look at the most authoritative sources to see exactly how this plays out. In Sahih Bukhari 43:50, narrated Buraida, the Prophet sent Ali to Khalid to bring the Qummas, and I hated Ali. And Ali had taken a bath after a sexual act with a slave girl from the Qummas. I said to Khalid, don't you see this? i.e. Ali. When we reached the Prophet, I mentioned that to him. He said, O Buraida, do you hate Ali? I said, yes. He said, do you hate him? For he deserves more than that from the Qummas. Now, Qummas refers to a certain amount, typically a fifth of the spoils of war, going to the Islamic State. So, to boil this down, Muhammad said Ali deserved more than just a sex slave from the spoils of war, and so Buraida had nothing to be angry over. Notice that Buraida wasn't angry over Ali having sex with the slave. He was angry that in doing so, Ali had appropriated some of the spoils of war for himself. This would have been a great time for Muhammad to prohibit this practice and punish Ali under the code for illegal sexual intercourse, except that this slave girl was part of the spoils of war. As such, she was a woman whom Ali's right hand possessed, and women whom your right hands possess are not forbidden under Islamic law. In Bukhari, Volume 3, Book 34, Chapter 111, if a slave girl who is suitable to have sexual relations is given to somebody as a gift, or sold, or manumitted, her master should not have sexual intercourse with her before she gets one menstruation, so as to be sure of absence of pregnancy. And there is no such necessity for a virgin. If a slave girl is pregnant from a man other than the owner, however, there is no harm in fondling with one's pregnant slave girl without having sexual intercourse with her. The justification for this practice is then cited. Allah said, except with their wives and the woman slaves whom their right hands possess. In Sunan Abu Dawud 21:67, we went out with the apostle of Allah and took some Arab women captive, and we desired the women, for we were suffering from the absence of our wives, and we wanted ransom. So we intended to withdraw the penis while having intercourse. So we asked Muhammad about it. He said, it does not matter if you do not do it, for every soul that is to be born up to the day of resurrection will be born. In another narration, Muhammad seems incredulous at this practice, not because his men were having sex with the captive women, but that the men were questioning whether or not to practice Coitus Interruptus. Muhammad was asked, O Allah's Messenger, we get slave girls from the war captives, and we love property. What do you think about Coitus Interruptus? Allah's Messenger said, do you do that? It is better for you not to do it, for there is no soul which Allah has ordained to come into existence, but will be created. Muhammad's logic is simple. Allah has preordained everything, so pregnancy is up to him, not you. There is no need to practice Coitus Interruptus. In allowing sex with captives of war, did Muhammad sanction rape? These women had just had their husbands and brothers killed or taken captive. Their children were now prisoners of war. All of their property was confiscated, and they themselves were about to begin a life of subjugation and servitude under the Muslim warriors who were responsible for all of this. It seems utterly irrational that under these conditions, women would willingly consent to intercourse with their captors. The final citation concerns Muhammad himself. He sets the excellent example for mankind once again in the case of Mary the Copt, a slave girl belonging to Muhammad's wife Hafsa. When Hafsa returned one day, she discovered Muhammad and her slave in bed together. Sunan an-Nasai 34:11, it was narrated from Anas that the Messenger of Allah had a female slave with whom he had intercourse, but Aisha and Hafsa would not leave him alone until he said that she was forbidden for him. This narration is Sahih. In doing this, Muhammad was perfectly in accordance with Allah's law, as Aisha said, and the hand of Allah's Messenger did not touch any woman's hand except the hand of that woman his right hand possessed. To summarize, sex with women whom your right hands possess is authorized. Ali had sex with a slave girl, to which Muhammad replied he deserved more than that from the spoils of war. When you get a slave girl as a gift, don't have sex with her until you know she isn't pregnant from another man. But until then, you can fondle her all you like. Muslim soldiers suffering from the absence of their wives can engage in sexual intercourse with the women they take captive. And the man Muhammad is behind it all, permitting, condoning, and even participating in such behaviors himself. But in the backdrop is the Quran, the word of Allah, the Exalted, reminding those who engage in these practices under Islamic law, they are not to be blamed.